Hey guys, it's Will again, and I'm back for another battle report. Tonight, going to be quite a competitive game, hopefully. My mate Tom is warming up for a tournament, so he's got me to bring the strongest list I could come up with what I have against his Magnus and Mortarion list. So it's going to be 1750 points, and we're going to roll randomly for a maelstrom mission. So let's take a look at what I've got in my army. So starting off with the battalion, led by 2 warlocks, and both of these are going to have Jinx Protect. And then for the troops, 3 units of Dire Avengers, 2 units of 5 with the Exarchs having the double catapult, and then 1 unit of 10, again Exarch with double catapult. In the elite slot, Fire Dragons, just a minimum squad of 5 with the Exarch to pop big nasty scary stuff like Mortarion and Magnus. And then over here in fast, got 5 standard Wind Rider jet bikes with the shuriken cannons for all the Beil Tan re-rolling goodness. And then 8 shining spears. Would like to make this 9, but I still need to finish painting the 9th one. And they got the Exarch on there with the Star Lance. 2 wave serpents to transport those. Both of these have the twin shuriken cannons and the underslung shuriken cannons, so nice and simple and cheap there. And then I've also got an outrider detachment, so I've got the Falcon with Bright Lance, Pulse Laser and Crystal Targeting Matrix, and 2 units of Dark Reapers, one with the Reaper launcher and one where the Exarch, one with the Tempest launcher and one where the Exarch just has the standard Reaper launcher. And to lead that, finally, my Farseer, who is my warlord. He's going to have Fortune and Doom as his psychic powers, and his warlord trait is Natural Leader, so pick a unit at the start of the shooting phase and they get to re-roll to hit for that turn. It has to be within 3 inches though, so quite short ranged. And changing it up a bit, gone for the Farseer on foot today rather than his jet bike equivalent. And finally, I'll be spending 1 command point to give this warlock here with the pistol the Spirit Stone of Anathlan, so he can re-roll 1 psychic test per turn. So there we go, 9 command points, 1750 points, Beil Tan Eldar.
Hi guys, it's Tom here. This is my 1750 list. This is my tournament list. Will knows about this before, so I didn't just turn up with this. He's prepared to take it on, so let's have a good game. So basically I've got a Supreme Command attachment with Magnus, 2 sorcerers, these are normal sorcerers, not exalted sorcerers, and Ahriman. And then we've got Mortarion in a super heavy detachment, standard on his own. And then we've got a patrol detachment, believe it or not, with the Poxbringer, 20 Poxwalkers, and 5 Death Shroud Terminators. That's obviously Battleforged with the Nurgle keyword. I won't be getting any benefits for that, and I only have 4 CP for this. But obviously I'm going for all the synergy I can get on Magnus and Mortarion to keep them alive. So looking forward to this. Thanks very much. Cheers.
So for tonight's mission, we've rolled up sealed orders. So you get 6 cards at the start of the game and can only draw new ones once you've got through that whole pile. And then you go up to 5 when you redraw, and then 4 once you've scored all of them. And we're on the spearhead deployment, so it's like the arrow-headed version of the long table edges. And yeah, so this could be quite a competitive game. So Tom's warming up for a tournament, and I'm fully prepared for the cheese, so don't feel bad for me when I get absolutely destroyed. So his army's mostly up on the hill here towards the front of his deployment zone around that objective. Death Shroud at the front to tank hits from Magnus. Magnus just behind them for support. And then his little gobble of Ahriman, a couple of sorcerers, and the Poxbringer there with his chaff behind, and finally Magnus as far away as he can go, out of the range of my Dark Reapers in case I get first turn.
I'm surprised you didn't bring a whole, like, a big cheese and just put it right there in the middle.
I've been a bit more conservative, so my standard of putting Dark Reapers and Dire Avengers in transports. The Warlock in there has Jinx Protect, then kind of repeated here, except there's no Warlock in there, and the Farseer is actually standing behind the Wave Serpent, and the Falcon there with the Fire Dragons and the other Warlock. I've got me Shining Spears here and Wind Riders to the front, and then I've put that 10-man unit of Dire Avengers in Webway Strike, so they will turn up from turn 2 onwards. At the moment I'm getting the +1 for first turn because I finished deploying first by virtue of having so many drops taken up by transports. But yeah, let's roll and see who gets first turn. So I've got a 2, Tom's got a 6, so he's going first, but I am going to try and seize. Nope, it's a 4. Chaos, turn 1. So Tom's got a good set of opening 6 cards here. Master of the Warp, Area Denial will be very easy for him to do with this list, especially with how the deployment is. And then ones for later, Defend 6 and Defend 5 are in my deployment zone. Blood and Guts and No Prisoners, probably going to not be squad this turn, because it's just a little bit far away. And yeah, that's kind of the story of the turn, was his army was very far away, so he's just moved forward, cast his powers and got his buffs up. So the whole army comes forward, and the only sort of a gradual move forward. I mean, these guys only got 5 even with their run. Only damage was on the Wind Riders with Smite from Araman, the longer range on Thousand Suns being quite handy there, meaning that my Wind Riders lost 3 wounds in total. He got it off on 11 and rolled a 3, so 1 dead and 1 wounded. And then it was just about putting buffs. So Mortarion, he's put up a lot of combat buffs on him and also -1 to hit. And Magnus is -1 to hit and now has a 3-up invuln. So these guys are going to be a real pain in the butt to deal with. And he's also put prescience on the Death Shroud Terminators, although I don't think they're going to be in combat this turn, but it's always worth getting all your buffs up and all those powers. Got him Master the Warp, so Master the Warp for D3, and then the very frustrating Area Denial for D3, because I literally couldn't have stopped that. Area Denial on the first turn just seems a bit silly, but hey, that's the rules as is. So he's got 5 points in the end for those 2 D3s, so a nice little start there for the Forces of Chaos. So I've drawn my initial 6 cards, and I've got Defend and Secure 6, as well as Legacy of Sorrows, which is the Eldar specific killer character, Psychological Warfare, Master the Warp, and Combined Strike, which is the Eldar specific every phase that you kill something in. And then First Blood is still very much on the table as well. So yeah, disembarked both the Reaper units into the respective buildings around them, because basically I wanted them to do some shooting but get some cover, and slowly pushed up the grav tanks. So this Warlock stayed in here with the Fire Dragons. The Dark Reapers, Dire Avengers stayed in that Wave Serpent. The Farseer's out of there, and he was very cleverly positioned to be just within 24 inches of the Terminators, but not within 24 inches of any of his Psychers. Push up the spears a little bit, Jet Bike's taking the lead, and that Wave Serpent over there, with the Warlock disembarking and heading towards his army again. Being 24 inches out from the Terminators was crucial there. Psychic phase, Farseer popped Fortune onto the Shining Spears, and then he cast Doom on the Death Shroud Terminators, and the Warlock put Jinx on the Death Shroud Terminators as well. And as you can see, there are no longer any Death Shroud Terminators. The Falcon, both the Wave Serpents, the Jet Bikes, everything that wasn't a Dark Reaper opened up on them, and with the Doom and Jinx combination on there, even Death Shroud didn't live it. He had 1 model left, which was finished off by the Exarch from the Reaper unit with the Tempest Launcher, freeing up everybody else, the Dark Reapers basically, to shoot at Mortarion, and did a total of 6 wounds to him after command points. But Tom has had to use a few command points there to try and stop me. He's down to just the 1, and Mortarion has taken 12 wounds. Sorry, he's got 12 left. Taken 6, he's got 12 left. So yeah, not a bad opening turn. I got First Blood off the Death Shroud, as well as Combined Strike, Secure 6, and Master the Warp for D3, which is a 5, so that's worth 3 points. 3, 4, 5, and First Blood is 6. So a nice little start there, but I've still got 2 Primarchs coming down the table at me. So that could have been a really nasty turn there with the 2 Primarchs up in my face. But basically I've just been a really jammy git. So Magnus moved up to like here and then warp timed to here, so he was right up in my face. Mortarion has moved up as well, and these guys have hung back, so all those sorcerers were just out of my deny range. which is a real nuisance, because when they started chucking out psychic powers at me, I couldn't do anything to stop it. So he had a great psychic phase, putting a bunch of mortal wounds, getting up all the buffs he wanted, and then after that warp time, Magnus cast Smite on my Farseer, got an 11, which would have meant it was 2d6 mortal wounds, but I was really lucky there and rolled a 12. That was my first bit of good luck. Dispelled his Smite, which meant my Farseer stayed alive. Then the good luck continued in the assault phase, as Mortarion failed a 7-inch charge, and Magnus, although he got in, only managed to kill 3 Shining Spears and put 3 wounds on the Farseer. So although he did burn his last command point to get in there, so Tom is out of command points, but I've still got Primarchs up in my face. I managed to pass all my leaderships for the death of a few jet bikes and the death of the Shining Spears. So pretty much my whole army is still up, and this turn I'm looking to take down one, if not both, of these Primarchs. Here we go with Eldar, turn 2. And just another note, I scored defend 6 at the end of my turn because he didn't attack my Falcon, so that's another 2 points for me, bringing me up to 8 points. And unfortunately for Tom, didn't manage to score anything that turn, but yeah, here we go with Eldar turn 2. Turn 2, and I've only got 2 objectives to score this turn: Legacy of Sorrows, which is kill a character, and Psychological Warfare, which is actually impossible because everything is either a single model unit or a fearless unit, so that will be impossible to score, so I'll discard that at the end of the turn. And Legacy of Sorrows is probably going to mean killing a Primarch. So I pulled my Shining Spears and Farseer out of combat with Magnus, and then used my disembarking Dire Avengers and Fire Dragons, as well as this Warlock, to encircle him, and then pulled these units back to give my Dark Reapers some protection against Mortarion possibly getting to me next turn. And then chucking out psychic powers didn't quite go as well as I'd like. Magnus completely shut down my Farseer, and despite using some command points, he was still there, still able to shut him down. But my Warlock did manage to put Jinx onto him, and I got Protect off on these guys from the other Warlock. So yeah, then it was a case of fire everything at Magnus till he's dead. Shining Spears, Dire Avengers, Dark Reapers, Fire Dragons, Falcon, Wave Serpent. Took all of that to bring him down. His -1 to hit that he cast last turn, which I wasn't able to override with anything, and I wasn't able to get Doom off either, meant that it took me ages to kill him, but eventually it did, which left these units on this side to shoot Mortarion, and did a couple of, I think it just did nothing actually in the end. Even the Dark Reapers failed to do anything to him, so Mortarion is still hovering around on 12 wounds, but Magnus is gone. That scored me Legacy of Sorrows. Unfortunately Mortarion's Warlord, and he's about to wreck face this turn, but with him down, then I'll just have this to deal with. So this is looking good, and I've scored my last card, discard that one, which brings me up to 9 points, and I'll be able to draw new cards next turn. So looks like Chaos could be facing somewhat of an uphill struggle here. So having not scored any cards last turn, Tom was keen to capitalise this turn, and with no Prisoners and Blood and Guts, he certainly had a good chance of doing that. Also Defend 6 was going to be a little bit trickier because that was the flank I was clustering on. So his big blob of stuff in the middle just kind of spread out really, moving the Psychers forward to get them into range to cause me some trouble and buff his character, his one surviving real heavy hitter, and then keeping everything else nice and spread out to grab what objectives he might be able to get later and deny me deep striking areas for my Dire Avengers. But it was really all about Mortarion. I'm just coming around the end of the table to get you. So Mortarion stopped off just 9 inches in front of Araman and was then warp timed over to here. He's also got the majority of his buffs up, so his damage output is crazy. He's -1 to hit. He's just an absolute beast right now. and he did what Mortarion does. His one of his psychic powers was able to wipe out the Dark Reapers. It's the one that basically makes them all take a toughness test, and he killed one of the fire dragons with his Phosphex grenades. And then in combat he killed the Farseer and the Wind Riders. The Farseer did resurrect from the Phoenix Gem, but because of the way it's now FAQ'd, he was still in a position where he had to take some saves, which he failed again, so the Farseer died again. He did take 1 wound in combat, so Mortarion's down to 11 wounds. Yeah, so he scored D3 for for no prisoners, because he killed 1, 2, 3 units, and he also got 1 for blood and guts. So, you have to kill, hang on. He's also got D3 for blood and guts, because when Mortarion's ability that kind of is a 7-inch aura of take mortal wounds, he also killed off this warlock that was here. So he's got 2 D3s worth of points there, so a nice little cluster of points, and he got Slay the Warlord. So I think he's actually up on points now. He does need to roll those D3s though. Rolling those D3s, so that's another 3, 4, 5 points. So that puts him on 10 points for that, plus the 1 for Warlord. So he's on 11 points now. So yeah, Tom's taken the lead, but it's time for the Eldar to strike back. So drawing your batch of cards, and most of them were around securing objectives. So 2 copies of Looking for 1, Defend 4 and Secure 2, as well as Assassinate. So I focused on basically killing Mortarion. He only had 11 wounds left. He was right in the middle of my army. Everything could shoot him. It was time to bring him down. Brought on the Dire Avengers here. Kept these tanks basically where they are. Moved these things up to focus on him and basically surrounded him. Did push these guys up to grab me objective 2, so that was a point. And the Reapers could already see him. And the Fire Dragons were here. And I opened up with everything. Psychic powers, check. Lasers, check. Shurikens, check. Melter guns, check. And in the end, with his -1 to hit and me not being able to get any of my spells off on him, he was left alive on 2 wounds left. So a bit frustrating there, but he is still alive, but he's at least terribly reduced. What I didn't realise is that aura of doing damage at the start of the fight phase doesn't just occur in his turn, and as a result of that I lost 3 fire dragons, a couple of wounds on the wave serpent, and my last psyker, my warlock here. He rolled 3 6s in a row for the hits on that, so that was pretty horrible. So yeah, that's a tough turn. I did manage to secure objective 2, and I'm going to discard mission critical objective on 1, and then I'm going to use my last command point to discard the other 3 because of the stratagem. So I will at least be able to get new cards next turn, because I'm not going to get any of the defends, and 1's right over there in his Poxwalker cloud. So yeah, it's still pretty close here. He's up on points, but I've still got the board control. So as we head into the 4th Chaos turn, Tom's got a chance to draw some more cards. So he had Ritual Slaughter and Overwhelming Firepower, Witch Hunter, Hold the Line, and Secure 6, which was priority orders received. So it had to be done with Mortarion. And so Mortarion led the charge on that. So the Sorcerers here just moved forwards and the Poxwalkers continued to spread out. But as we swoop around here, yeah, so Mortarion came up to here, and then started killing stuff. As you can see, I lost 2 tanks, but that was actually Araman in combat. So basically Mortarion charged into the Dire Avengers, who did put a wound on him on Overwatch, because Dire Avengers are nice like that. And then in the combat phase, I'm just trying to remember how it happened, because it was all a bit convoluted. So Mortarion swang first and killed a couple of these and wrecked the Wave Serpent that he'd also made it into combat with. That exploded, killing Mortarion, a couple of these guys wounding Araman. Mortarion then explodes and killed a couple more of those guys and put another wound on Araman. And then Araman hit, sorry, same Wave Serpent, that was actually a Falcon there. And then Araman hit the Wave Serpent, which killed that, but that didn't blow up. So the upshot is Mortarion and both the Wave Serpent and the Falcon are dead. Mortarion also killed the fire dragon down here in the shooting phase, and these guys lost another one to Overwatch after taking some casualties more from explosions than from attacks. So yeah, to be honest, I think I won that exchange because Mortarion's gone. That is a game changer. So if we go back to look at the points, he got overwhelming firepower for killing the fire dragon with Mortarion in the shooting phase, and ritual slaughter because at least 9 models were killed. But he's now holding 3 objectives he can't possibly secure. So I have no psychers. He's going to find it really hard to get back into his deployment zone, and his warlord's dead. So those 3 are non-scorable. So he's got another 2 points, so he is still in the lead. But with no Primarchs left on the board, I think we're advantage Eldar as we go into my 4th turn. So not the best cards this turn. Advance and hold the line are kind of mutually exclusive. And area denial was going to be tough with sorcerers hanging around in the middle of the board. Master of the Runes was impossible, so that's going to be my discard. So I basically tried to keep my units just kind of at optimal range, far enough back so that he couldn't counter me too effectively, but close enough that I could still shoot him. And I've shot my jet bikes over there with a view to eventually getting into his deployment zone to score line breaker. Shooting wasn't as effective as I would have liked it. All my shuriken arm stuff eventually took out the sorcerer that was standing right on objective 2 there, but my Dark Reapers realised they couldn't see this guy because the trees are in the way, so I shot for the demon in the middle, but he passed all his invuns despite me scoring 3 wounds. So not an ideal turn, but I did get 1 point for hold the line, and I'll discard Master of the Runes and see what the very depleted Chaos Force can do to me this turn. We go into the 5th and potentially final turn. Tom's stuck with Witch Hunter and hold the line. Witch Hunter will obviously be discarded at the end of the turn because there's literally no way you can do it. And he tried pulling his squads back to get hold the line. He wasn't able to get them all that far, but they are in a safe position and should be able to score it next turn. Particularly if I kill some Poxwalkers, but I may not kill Poxwalkers, I may have other plans. Shooting, there wasn't really much, but in the psychic phase, he did manage, he timed that guy there to get him back and killed one of these, left the Exarch on 1 wound. Not a lot else happened with that turn. I'm still holding advance and area denial, but I actually scored area denial there because by pulling back, he's got some of his guys away from the centre. So that's area denial for 1 point for me. I'm still holding advance, so I'm going to hopefully want to move these units out as we head into the 5th and probably potentially final Eldar turn. So I only had advance left this turn, and I basically threw everything into having it because we were tied on points going into the 5th turn. So what did I do? Basically just pushed everything forward. Wave Serpent had to run to get out of the deployment zone. Dire Avengers ran out of the deployment zone. Jetbikes continued down the flank, and even the Dark Reapers had to run to get out there. The Diamond, so Arrowhead deployment kind of helped them because they were closer than I thought, but it still took a run, which cost them the shooting. As a result, my shooting phase wasn't too effective. I killed a bunch of Poxwalkers, but they're fearless, so they're still sticking around. And I've got 1 wound on that sorcerer from the jetbox. Basically, this leaves the game precariously balanced. 15 to the Eldar, 14 to Chaos. Tom, would you like to do the honours and roll?
Yeah.
See if you carry on. It's a 4. Play 1 more turn. Here we go. So despite having hold the line as his only objective, Tom decided to throw caution to the wind in the 6th turn and instead go on a bit of an all-out attack. Still told his Poxwalkers back to protect his characters, but stepped some of his psychers just a little bit forward to start threatening me, and Araman came all the way down here. So he killed one of the jet bikes from the Zinc Sorcerer over there, and the Fox Bringer, the Herald of Nurgle. He killed a couple of these with Smite, and then Araman smited off the last of the Dire Avengers down here before wrecking the Serpent in combat. So pretty destructive, but not scored any points, but he did discard hold the line, so we'll get a new draw if we play a 7th turn. But first, I've got to draw my next 3 cards and play out my 6th. So having that extra draw has really helped me this turn. Defend 2 is quite reasonably doable. Defend 5 I'm going to discard because it's too far, but Kingslayer is a guaranteed score of D3 points, so I'm going to roll that right away. That's 3 points, which should give me the win, but just to make sure, I pushed up the Avengers onto 2, stripped the jet bike over there for potential line breaker, and moved up the Reapers. All my firing was mostly directed at Walkers, killed a good number of them, but they're still there. But now we're going to roll to see if this ends. If this ends now, it's an Eldar win. And against my prediction from the earlier game, I've actually pulled it. Good game, mate. Well done. Thank you. Well, that went a lot better than expected, didn't it? I was not expecting to get a 1914 or 1915, I think it was in the end, win over a dual Primarch tournament list. And a combination that Tom has won 3 tournaments with in the last 6 months. So, yeah, being able to pull out the win there was quite a surprise, and I'm very chuffed with how that went, to be honest. Now, I will say a couple of big things went in my favour. To start with, I had some good luck on some turn 2 dispels, and Mortarion failing his 7-inch charge despite a reroll was, yeah, that was good luck on my part. And the deployment really favoured me because I was able to go a long way away, which meant before those Primarchs could hit combat, I had a good amount of time to shoot them down because I was definitely the more shooty army on the table. But, you know, the fact that I was able to pull out a win against that list really shows that my plans with Eldar are finally coming together. You know, the last 9 months or so, I've been working on trying to get better with my Eldar, doing my Path of the Warrior video series, and yeah, it's finally all coming together. Now, to be fair to Tom, he was trying a slightly different strategy to what he normally runs, and you know, he said he wanted to practice against Eldar because he doesn't get to play them very often, but he's expecting some at a tournament he's taking that list to. So, you know, he was inexperienced against Eldar, but then it was my first time facing Mortarion, and he's a beast. Do not want to face Mortarion again, or at least if I do, want to kill him very quickly before he hits my lines. There's so many different ways he can kill you. You know, Magnus will kill you in an assault or he'll cast a spell on you. Mortarion will do that, but he'll also shoot you, he'll chuck a grenade at you, and he has that 7-inch pulse of mortal wounds. Absolute monster. And yeah, when I got kind of the lucky kill on him with the exploding wave serpent, that was just perfect. You know, I needed to take him down, and that, yeah, probably won me the game, that wave serpent exploding and taking Mortarion, because if he'd had another turn to run around the board and do stuff, then yeah, he would have really been close to tabling me there. As it was, once Mortarion was gone, it was just a case of making sure I stuck to my objectives, played the mission rather than just went for the kills, and tried to stay away from Ahriman, because, you know, he may not be Magnus or Mortarion, but he's still pretty decent in combat, and I did not want to have to face him. Of course, Tom drawing Hold the Line kind of worked in my favour, because it meant he had to pull back his army to try and score it, and that, you know, gave me longer range to shoot him, pulled him back off the middle, and yeah, all kind of came together in the end. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks to Tom for being a good sport about it, and you know, for giving me a really good game. You know, that has been an experience playing off against a dual Primarch list, and good luck in the tournament. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.